Welcome to the MCU Pod. I'm Grant Davis, and with Loki right around the corner, we have ourselves asking the question, will Loki end up being an evil Dr. Samuel Beckett? Oh boy. Loki is the MCU's third official TV show, sorry MODOK, in the recently kickstarted Phase 4, and it is debuting June 9th, 2021, so mark your calendars. It features the titular trickster as a captive of the TVA, the Time Variance Authority, an organization that regulates the timelines across the multiverse. And apparently they need Loki to come in and clean up his mess after the events from Endgame. What are you doing? Quit messing up the timeline! So it seems to me that Loki just might be the very first show in the MCU to exist outside of the main Earth 199999 timeline. That is the prime universe of the MCU. But the implications of this for our MCU are actually kind of fascinating as well. It does seem to indicate that Earth 199999 is extraordinary, like extra special in terms of the multiverse of universes out there, right? Because not only was it the catalyst for fracturing the multiverse, but it also was pretty special because when Doctor Strange sifted through all of the possible realities, he found that ours was among like one other reality that was able to best Thanos and stop him from destroying all of life, all of everything, half of everything, and then eventually all of everything. Thanos was a bad dude. So yeah, Earth 199999 is particularly special, and we might actually see why in a bit. But the timeline that Loki is operating out of? Likely less special. Or rather, it's a mess. So much so that the TVA and Owen Wilson were like, wow, man, come on, come fix this. Wow. Which brings us to the idea of Loki as this reluctant recruit jumping from timeline to fix critical issues that only he seems to have the capabilities to fix. And what capabilities are those exactly? Loki is a fellow without many scruples. One might say he's unscrupulous. He's immoral, unethical, and rather Machiavellian in stepping over whatever gray lines and dead bodies lie in the way of his end goal. At least this old version of Loki is. We did see this great redemption arc where he got along with his brother. He saved him, he saved the Asgardians, and he even stood up to Thanos. That was a good Loki. But that Loki's dead, and we're stuck with this lovable scumbag Loki, which is probably for the best because this is the type of Loki we need fixing these timelines. What do I mean by that? Well, let's take a look at Quantum Leap, the show from the 1980s and 90s, featuring Dr. Samuel Beckett, a scientist who's time jumping through timelines and using his good nature and his cunning skill in order to do good and save people and fix timelines. It's a classic hero story that we're all rooting for, and we're really just kind of trained and conditioned to want that kind of timeline story. But if you think about fixing timelines, it can't always be that clean cut. It can't be this, oh, you need to help an old lady cross a street or clean up a sidewalk or whatever you do in the 1950s, paint a fence, I guess, in order to save the day. We're likely looking at some big catastrophic events that require a particular individual who's a little bit more willing to cross ethical boundaries in order to clean up this stuff. Because what if the issues require robbery or poisoning or mass murder? Dr. Samuel Beckett ain't gonna do that, but Loki is. So unscrupulous. So yeah, that's what we might get with Loki, the anti-hero, committing atrocities in order to save the timeline and save so many lives. But then I guess the other question is, what is ultimately their end game? The premise of this show potentially lends itself to multiple seasons if they really wanted to. They could have Loki going week to week with a new mission and just like saving things and fixing things however he wants. And it could be a lot of fun. But that doesn't really seem to be the MCU's MO. They like those one and done seasons. So where does that ultimately leave Loki? Are we going to see Loki, similar to Gamora, thrust into our Earth 199999 universe? Is he going to be reunited with Thor? Maybe he sees Thor in one of the other timelines and recognizes him and just goes, oh, that Loki had a connection with him, and it seemed like it was really important, and maybe I want that too. Is that where we're going to see potentially this redemption arc for Loki? And might that lend further credence to the absolute special nature of our particular MCU versus all the other multiverse timelines? And if the MCU is just able to keep plucking back these characters that they killed off, giving us an alternate timeline, an alternate history where we're once again finding ourselves rooting for them, can we please have Heimdall back too? So what do y'all think? Do you think Loki will use his powers of evil for good? Will he get redemption? Will he be reunited with Thor? Let us know down in the comments. And you can also join us for our live commentary and reviews where we talk about all things MCU, but we also do live breakdowns and reviews of whatever show is debuting currently over on Disney+. We'd love to have you over there, and you can just hit that subscribe button to join us. Until then, MCU later.